I just thought it was like a terrific idea for this group of people to want to advocate for DSPs and what they believe in. And like, that's what we're all about, is advocating, empowering our DSPs to want to stay, to give them something to strive for, and to be proud that they're a DSP.
Hello, Difference Maker, and welcome to IDD Leader, the podcast that's all about helping human service organizations retain and grow their workforce using behavioral science. I'm your host, Nate Beers. Let's dive in. Have you ever wondered what it looks like to more fully empower your frontline workforce? How can you ensure that your direct support professionals are heard and valued? In today's episode, you're going to hear a living example of DSP empowerment through a conversation with members of the DSP Council, an initiative started by Welcome House. Based out of Cleveland, Ohio, Welcome House provides residential, day programming, and other services to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Stick around until the end of the conversation so that you don't miss a poignant story that I hope impacts you as much as it impacted me. It illustrates how this service provider doesn't just talk about valuing DSPs, they embody it through their dedication to the people who make up their workforce. Well, without further ado, enjoy. I'd love to hear from each one of you. What's your name, your role at Welcome House, and then why do you choose to work in the field of IDD? What's the draw?
Okay. My name's Tasha Moss. I'm a DSP, and I'm also the DSP president of the council. We have a DSP council. And what drew me into the field, I love helping people, just to make somebody else's life a little bit better, to bring stability, because DSPs are the stability of our individuals. So just helping them. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's the truth. DSPs are the stability for the individuals. How about either one of you, Steve or Elroy?
You want to go or you want me to go?
You can go ahead, Steve.
All right. So I'm Steve Pietrzycki. I'm the vice president of the DSP Council at Welcome House. I've been in healthcare for, over almost 40 years. My first degree was in health information management, so I was a medical records director. But I did all the serious stuff with the doctors and whatever, and the different department heads, which was okay, but I liked dealing with the patients better. And I found that my love was more towards the actual clients. Then 10 years down the road, I became an activities director and worked in activities in nursing homes and that type of field. And with that, you want to, the whole focus is on giving them the best quality of life and that type of thing. So as things changed in that field, a friend of mine who was also in that field got a job at Welcome House. She told me about Welcome House. And I said, okay, well, that's kind of cool. So I applied. But I also have a nephew who's motorically disabled. In fact, he's a case study right now. He has doctors around the world trying to figure out what they're doing with him or what they can do for him, hopefully, because he's been having massive seizures. So in a way, it's good. Like God kind of directs my life. And I guess I was just meant to be here, but that was the course of everything. So.
Okay, wow.
Well, I'm Elroy Harris. I do non-medical transport and DSP work. I'm part of the council. One of the things that brought me, of course, I have an older son that has some disabilities, more on the mental side, but he a higher functioning kid, well, a grown man now, actually. And what brought me to the field was that and people not being taken up for. I hate bullies, and people bully the individuals. They bully the DSPs, you know. So what made me join the council was because I felt DSPs wasn't getting the right treatment also. And one of the reasons that I love working with the clients, because if you ever see me with clients, they regular to me. And because we ain't really regular, to be honest. I talk to them crazy, they talk to me crazy. I done had them say some choice things and I bust out laughing, and then people be looking like, whoa, I can't believe. And then when they realize, like, oh, they really got a connection. And for that, and then my faith, you know, God guides me into it, because what they see is not me. That's just God, because the patience that this is giving me, I can't believe it. It's amazing, you know. But
That's awesome. That's really cool. So I actually can't wait to hear and dive into each of your experience with DSP Council. But actually, first, let's just establish the basics. What is the DSP Council there at Welcome House?
DSP Council, we empower, elevate, and educate. Like, we base everything on DSPs. It is to have another resource, for them. We try to come up with things for them to do. So, like on the 21st, we have a bingo night. So that's giving them the opportunity to bring out their clients and talk to other DSPs, just to take some of the pressure off of them of their everyday thing. But we're here to support our DSP councils and our DSPs, but some people have problems communicating with administrators, like people up higher up. So we're a safe place, they can come to us
yeah.
and we can get them to the right spot to be able to communicate with others.
Okay. So how often do you meet?
Once a month on a Monday.
Okay.
First Monday of the month.
And then who decides the agenda, or what kinds of topics are you guys covering?
Sometimes, we have facilitators. So Julia Odom sometimes come up with the agenda, but usually I'll sit down and go through it with other people on the council and say, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? Do you have some ideas so I can put it into the agenda? So I came up with the agenda. So yeah.
Okay. And then how does someone even get on the DSP Council?
They could just come to a meeting. They could just come up to any one of us and say, hey, I want to be part of. We'll tell them what day the meeting is. They can come out, and as long as they come 3 times continuously, then they're on the council.
Oh, nice. So do you guys kind of pick up extra individuals that way? I mean, extra staff that they just check it out, or is it more word of mouth? How does it spread?
It's actually, they talk about it at orientation. They have a whole presentation about it at orientation, and I'll go in on Thursdays and talk about it. And, yeah, word of mouth.
Okay, that's really cool. And then things that get discussed at DSP Council, what happens with those? Or what happens next?
Well, it depends on what it is. If something needs to be escalated, we go to Julia, and Julia take it to a higher up so we can get matters, assorted or whatever. Or, like, if somebody comes up with an idea, we try to make it happen. So, we talk about it.
Okay, so there's kind of a clear pathway then.
Communication is the main thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Communication is just the main thing. So if there's issues or concerns or good ideas or things that are working right, we want to do those.
Right.
If there are things that aren't working right, we want to get rid of those. And, the more consistency each place has, because each place is going to be run different and have different needs or circumstances. And each individual in all the places is, of course, unique as well. So there's DSPs all over are going to have different types of issues or challenges, and we're at least a place where we can exchange ideas and come up with some kind of plan or strategy to meet those challenges.
Yeah, that I think I'm tracking with you, but can you give an example of like what's something that has come up where then it came up at DSP Council and then it led to some kind of change in the organization?
All right, great one. Well, we came. This was a while back. We had like a little raffle thing, and just to give people a break and days off, we was allowed to offer them PTO days, where you didn't have a rough day, you get this, you can get a PTO day and go on. Also, in this process, we also was able to get a thing started where it's just a DSP, the I can't think of the newspaper letter that we have come out, just the DSP's input only, no management. Then also they came up with where your peers appreciate you. We get to vote in instead of management voting for employee of the month. It comes from your peers.
Right.
And it starts to make you respect the way somebody works besides your personal feelings. Because I don't care how, we ain't gotta talk. Long as we can work and take care of the individuals, that's all I worry about.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see that in other people because they're striving for a better thing. And as the council, we get to see that, and we in the same places, and we get to talk to people and get to understand how they feeling. That's how the change come. The change come because they can talk to you and they ain't got to worry about it going back. They can bring it to you, and you can bring the issue to them, because by having the council backing, I can talk to anybody, and give Welcome House a lot of credit. Our management is open to anybody talking to them, but that don't mean everybody will. And that's
Right.
where the change came, because now it's a voice for those who don't have a voice. That's where the biggest change comes from.
Yeah. So if I was your coworker, Elroy, and something wasn't sitting well, but I was maybe kind of shy or didn't I wasn't going to take it to somebody higher up. If I took it to you and said, "Hey, this is what's going on," is that the kind of thing where people do that, where they'll kind of bounce it to you guys? You'll
Yes.
talk about
Mm-hmm.
DSP
Yep.
Council,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
some of those probably go to the next level up or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, sometimes it could just be someone's
Great,
had a
great
bad day,
example.
but
I, I worked at a house one night, and they was complaining about the lift not working. Just wasn't working. I said, how long y'all been like this? So just as soon as I had a chance, I had an ear at the maintenance man. So I called him right then. He like, okay, where is that? Where is that? And not like it hold no, you know what I'm saying? But because it was me, and I'm not saying because it's me, but because it was able to get to the right person to get to the right person.
Right.
Being on the council, you have access to people that can get it done. And I
Yeah.
got it done. Well, I called, and it got done the next day. And they had been going weeks without it. What if I'd never picked up at the house? None of them said nothing. That's where the council come in handy at.
Mhm.
That's specific.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's a great example. Great example. Um, and Elroy, you kind of shared this at the beginning, but I'd love to hear from Tasha or Steve. Uh, why did you join the DSP Council? Like we heard a little bit about some of your background, but tell us what brought you to that in the first place.
Joined the council because I'm an advocator. So I
Yeah.
advocate for everything. Like I stand my ground too. So I just thought it was like a terrific idea for this group of people to want to advocate for DSPs and what they believe in. And like that's what we're all about, is advocating, empowering our DSPs to want to stay, to give them something to strive for, and to be proud that they're a DSP.
And have you seen it have that impact? I mean, were people that are not even on the council, do they feel differently about their job because of the work that the DSP Council is doing?
Some,
Maybe
I'm gonna
starting
be
to.
honest,
Okay,
some are seeing
Right.
the light. Yeah.
sure.
It's a
We,
slow
we've only
process.
we've only had the council in place for about a year now, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So I
So it's
mean
pretty.
it's
So it's a
it's
new.
still
It's a newer
it's still
initiative.
relatively new, but we've done quite a bit in that year, you know.
Okay.
Um, and I was just a DSP, but I'm active with different parts of the company. So I was directed by some other staff to check out the DSP Council and maybe join. So I joined as a member initially, And we had a different vice president at that time, but she was going through some things and needed to step down. So when they were looking for another vice president, people that were in the council were kind of looking at me, and I said, "Well, I guess I was chosen." So I became the vice president. But Tasha's wonderful as the president, and we worked together. I started at the community center when I first started. And then I was in a split position between a group home and the community center. And now I'm dedicated to the group home, but I still get everybody ready and then I do the transporting of them to the center and back. So I'm still involved quite a bit in both.
Yeah. Okay. How would you say, this could be for any of you, but how would you say that being part of the DSP Council has affected your own feelings towards your workplace?
Well,
I want more from everybody. I don't like it has like leveled me up kind of. Like I look at
mhm,
things a little bit different.
yeah,
Like I feel like everybody's a leader. So like I just try to like push people to be better than what they are and to take notice of what the other people are doing because some people, I don't know. We went to this thing on Monday, and Elroy said it best. Sometimes you gotta leave your problems outside the threshold when you walk into the job, and because it dictates the day, you know. So yeah, I push. I want everybody to be leaders. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. How about for either of you, Elroy or Steve?
well, for me, I mean, it makes you think more critically about our position and about our interactions with both the individuals and the community. And I was involved with that as an activity director also in the past, but that was, slightly of a different role and whatnot. And it seems to be more, we're more tight knit in this community because as a DSP, we're very involved with each individual for doing what they need to get done for their lives.
Sure.
And seeing that picture and helping others to uh, to develop their skills so that they can help our individuals reach their potential. It's not only a gift, but it's just a beautiful thing, to be able to help people at that level. So being a part of this, like Tasha said, it does lift you up or elevate you
Hmm.
to a different level. You're looking at things differently.
Hmm.
Yeah. I, I think being on the council helped me mostly with figuring out your coworkers because everybody ain't at the same level when it comes to working, and
Mhm.
everybody ain't got the same drive, the same whatever. But now that being at the council, by having that mixture of people to talk with and share that with, I can go into a place and see where you're weak or strong at, and I'll take over the part that you're weak at, and and then you can go and do the strong part, even if it's sometimes kind of overwork me, but I ain't nothing overwork me in this field. I love it. I can't imagine not doing it. Um, you know, because sometimes and you work with people that have bad days, and in that I don't look at bad days. There's no such thing as bad days. There's bad moments in the day. And
Mhm.
working with the council, you get to see that because some of the council members, Mondays be rough for some, but they still show up and they still put their input in. So if they can do that, I can take my time, put my input in to help out a coworker. The whole thing is to help them, and that's what I strive to do. And I'm gonna still put that on faith because Elroy don't have that type of drive, but that faith and learning from other people because my favorite line is we all in this together. All hands
Yeah.
on deck. Period.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the recurring themes I'm hearing from you guys right now. A couple things, but one of the ones that jumps out the most is this. It sounds like it's built a greater sense of camaraderie between
Yeah.
coworkers, or more of a sense of a community for those that are part of the council or those that have even participated in it. And then raising the sights higher. That's another thing I think I'm hearing from you, is that it's for you personally, it's raise your own sights higher, but then you're also helping others to raise their sights higher. Along those lines, I was wondering, does Welcome House have credentialing for DSPs at all? Like different, how some, I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but like a credentialing DSP1, DSP2, DSP3.
Oh, yeah. They have
Yeah.
different tiers. And that was one of the things you had talked about, like as far as like retention and whatnot. And that's one of the things that they have in place, because they're with the DSP tiers and your longevity and your, your like reviews and
Trainings.
whatnot. Yeah, you can move up and you get filtered up and you get more pay. Because each level, you learn more and you do more, and the more you know, the more, you're valued, and they do value you here, which is wonderful.
That's great. How do they? I mean, even the formation of the DSP Council sounds like a way of valuing. But how else do you see Welcome House showing its value for yourselves and people in your position?
Well, I can give one example, but like they do a lot of different things. But they actually set out an account to help people if something happens with their vehicle or whatnot. Like maybe you have to Uber or stuff, they'll pay for that. In my instance, I had just gotten probably $500 worth of auto work done in 1 week, and then the following week something else went with the car. Well, I was zapped out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get this fixed. And they said, oh, we have a fund for that. And they said, what's the mechanic's place and phone number and whatever. They wrote a check that day.
Whoa.
And so I got my car fixed. So
Whoa,
they have,
go ahead.
yeah. So, another coworker of mine, his car died and he couldn't get it fixed. So they paid for his Ubering for so many trips until he can figure something out, just to get him to work and back. And then we also networked with other staff to also ride share. So then you're building camaraderie and networking there as well. So that way people aren't felt left out. Like, oh my gosh, I was stranded. What could I do? Well, no, we got your back. So they have our back and we got each other's backs. And what more can you ask for?
I mean, that would stick with me if I was in your shoes, Steve, and my company was cutting a check to my mechanic. that would stick with me. Any other ways that you see the Welcome House valuing DSPs?
You want to go, Tasha?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I like Welcome House on a personal level when it comes to that, but the value in DSPs, I mean, we always can nitpick and pick anything apart. Let's be clear about that. But I think that when they value you, when you're going through a crisis and stuff, they kind of like try to be more understanding about it. Because just a great example, and I thank God first and foremost, but I was dying. At least they thought I was dying. It don't look like it because God a G. But I was working at Welcome House and during COVID, and I was taking care of a client, and he gave me COVID, put me in the hospital 110 days, in a coma for, I don't know, I can't tell you I was in a coma. Was on a ventilator, everything, and they had ripped me off like it's over with. But Welcome House paid immediately. Like they told me at the hospital, there's no such thing as workman comp for COVID. Well, Welcome House paid me while I was out. Straight to my girlfriend at the time. She's my wife now. Of course, she stayed through all that. She might well be my wife. And Welcome House stayed in touch the whole time. The nurse that had worked there, she actually retired, and from part of her advice helped save my life. She told him don't let him give him that medication no more because the medication was actually killing him. So they stopped giving him the medication. So after that, my fiance at the time, it took me off all the medications, and I wound up waking up and start back breathing on my own. And so Welcome House stayed through the whole steps the whole time. They were never not involved. So that's a personal thing. But on the other hand, about Welcome House, it's a fair wage when you start. When you consider, I started with $7.35 an hour when I started being a DSP. It's a fair wage now. You know what I'm saying? It actually is a little better than some, and it's a fair wage. And they bring you into an environment teaching you everything you need to know to succeed. And that's what I like about it. They even bring in an individual during orientation to talk about what an individual wants, and I think that's unique. And another thing, I'm gonna just give Tasha and everybody on the council a little bit. Tasha's so knowledgeable. We was talking about something. She was like, they was like, oh, you can look on the DDO side. I said, no, I'm not. I just asked Tasha. You know what I'm saying? So them things like that, what makes Welcome House so great. If I had to highlight what makes this job attractive, it's my coworkers, my DSPs, the one I fight with, the ones I go to battle with. Excuse me. That is the thing that drives you. Because you're all doing one thing, to take care of individuals that want to have a normal life, do the things that regular human beings want to do. And I love it. Excuse me, I apologize.
No, that's wow. That's powerful. That's a powerful story you just shared about how they stuck with you, and then just going to bat for each other and all this kind of stuff. That's truly outstanding. Wow. Wow. Well, Tasha, I don't know if you wanted to share. I have another question I could ask, but I don't know.
I think I can follow up behind that.
Yeah, I hear you. Just a little more on the background. How did the DSP Council get started?
It was a brainstorm from what's her name? Chelsea. I always say her name wrong. What's the one that do the? Yeah.
Kelsey?
Yeah.
So it started just as a brainstorm idea. Now, if someone listening to this might very well be thinking about starting something along these lines at their own agency, what advice would you give them?
Tasha, you're good at
Start with like-minded people. You gotta deal with like-minded people, people that have the same wants and the same ideas, that want to be something bigger than themselves, because that's what DSP Council is all about: being something, being part of something that's bigger than yourself, and wanting to make a change. It's not going to change in the beginning, but you got to work at it. And you just and you're going to lose battles, but you just learn how to fight a different way, so.
When you first heard about it, did they just kind of pitch, did management pitch the idea? Was there a group of DSPs that were kind of already talking about this, or how did that go down?
When I heard about it, we were at, I think we were at the zoo in Columbus.
Yeah.
And the DSP Council was there, and it's, one of the facilitators, Ionica, she is great, but she was so full of energy, and I just was like, I want to be a part of that, but I'm always looking for something to learn from, to be a part of. I'm also an independent provider, and I'm on the independent provider collab for Cuyahoga County. So I'm always looking to expand and advocate and empower. That's my thing. So yes, I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah. They pitched the idea to me. I was walking through the office and actually was going back and forth with a manager about somebody else. And they said, hey, you want to be on the council? That's how I found out.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, that's it's neat to hear the different stories of how each one of you has landed there and to be part of the council. I guess just kind of, I don't know how much you feel like you see this from your vantage point, but just any about what I'm about to ask you, I'd love just any insight at all, which is how would you say that the council has impacted management's relationship with staff?
Mm.
Hmm.
I think they're more understanding.
Hmm.
Like, just an example, one of the people on the council was having some issues, and then it spilled over into some other things. And they were more patient to find out the why instead of, well, why are you doing that? It was more like, let's find out the root of the problem instead of just going at the.
Hmm.
And I thought that was unique. You know what I mean? Because usually management like, they was more like, wait a minute, let's find out what's going on. And I thought that was unique. And I think more of that should be done. But it's a work in progress.
Nothing's perfect. It's a learning process for everybody. So
Yeah.
I think it's just going to take time because it's still new. But, we got great advocators. So, that's what makes it best.
Yeah. Well, if you said it's pretty new, so I agree with you 100%. It takes time. It takes time for these things to disseminate, for
Yeah.
people to even understand. Anytime there's a new initiative that rolls out, you got the early adopters, but then you got, your people that are still using the flip phones, and years later, and this kind of stuff. So, or in this case, that just don't understand the council.
Right.
But yeah, no, this has been really, really valuable. I've loved hearing about just kind of I read an article about the council, but it's very different to hear it from each one of you and what your experience has been with that. I think we'll end with this question. If you could give one piece of advice to someone that's the head of HR, or that's a vice president, or maybe a director at an agency, or a program within an agency, from your perspective as a DSP, what one piece of advice or one nugget would you give them?
Listen to the people in the field.
Yeah, listen. You hit it.
Respect us.
Right.
And remember where
And
they came from, because a lot of them were DSPs prior to this.
right, right. And just keep communications open, because sometimes communication's not the easiest for some people, and it takes them a while to actually get out what they want to say. And when you're higher up, you want to make decisions quick and stuff. And sometimes things take a little bit longer, take some time. So listening, like Elroy said, communication and respect, those are all things that we all should have and need. But um, that's all a good thing that I would give an advice to a higher up or manager.
Well, thank you. Those were some just wonderful words of wisdom from each one of you. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure our audience appreciates that as well. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time today. What a
Oh,
joy.
you're very welcome. Thank you.
Wow, difference maker. There's a lot to learn from this conversation. But I want to encourage you, don't end with just listening, but I want to challenge you to spring into action. My recommended next step is this. Get out a piece of paper or your notes app on your phone. Make a list numbered 1 to 5. On that list, here's what you're going to do. You're going to write down 5 examples of changes from the past few years at how things are done at your agency. These could be changes in policy, procedures, or just really any kind of improvements. But here's the catch. You can only write down changes that came from listening to your frontline workforce. Boom. Listen, if you can quickly fill out all 5, chances are that your agency's on the right track. But if it takes a while, or if you can't get up to 5, don't panic. But it's probably time to get a good answer to this question. How is leadership making space for the frontline workforce to have a voice in their own work? A strong answer will help propel your organization towards increased staff retention. And speaking of staff retention, do you want help creating a retention-focused culture? If so, then grab my free guide, Top 10 Questions and Answers to help you solve DSP turnover. You can download it for free at iddleader.com/top10. That's TOPTEN. And kind of exciting, but we've actually just had a few new people, quite a few new people really, have found the podcast for the first time just recently. This is great. And so whether that's you or maybe you've been listening for a while, but either way, would you consider helping more people get support for their turnover challenges? It's really simple. Just give the podcast a quick rating and review on Apple or Spotify, or you can give it a thumbs up on YouTube. What that does is it just makes the podcast show up easier for people when they're searching for help with staff retention. Well, until next time, here's to you, difference maker. Keep up the amazing work.